Okay, welcome to Module 4, Resume Writing. Does your resume pass the 30-second test? They say that employers spend less than 30 seconds scanning your resume to decide if it's going to go on yes, no, or maybe. You want to get into the yes pile. The purpose of a resume is to introduce yourself to an employer, to highlight your qualifications, but the bottom line is to get an interview. It's pretty rare when you get a job offer without them meeting you, but the resume gets you to the interview stage. So what makes for a good resume? Good overall appearance and layout, effective resume language, use of action verbs, it's targeted to your goal, and no errors, no mistakes, no typos. So let's look at what makes for a good resume. The chronological resume is the old resume, the traditional resume, that basically lists all of your information in reverse chronological order. So take a look at this resume. So you can see that it lists the education here, the person's a communication major. And here's the chronological resume, and here's why it has gone away. This person has 6 positions, but you can see the most recent thing they're doing is they're a server at Olive Garden. But take a look at the objective here. They want to be a public relations intern. So the first thing we see on the resume is server at Olive Garden, which has nothing to do with public relations. So we want to change that. So we want to go with the targeted resume. This is where you make it easier for the employer to understand what qualifies you for the job you're applying for. Basically, it means looking at your objective, highlighting your education, and then highlighting related experience for the objective and putting the other experience down below. Here's that same resume now in targeted format. So all we did is we created related experience, other experience, or work experience. Now, Olive Garden server position has moved down as the first position in this category, but now all the public relations related experience is up here under related experience. And that's the way you can have an effective resume. All right, so let's look at what goes on the resume. These are examples of the categories: contact information, your objective, education, work experience, internships, skills, honors and awards, languages, certifications. You can list class projects, study abroad experience translates well, special interest, community work or volunteer work, leadership activities, memberships, and any other kind of information you think is useful. So let's try to build your resume from top to bottom. It starts with your name. There's different ways of putting that on here. Here's a 5-line format. Here's a 3-line format, 3-line format. Sometimes when you're trying to save room, this is the way to go. But you include your name, street address, city, state, and zip, phone number, and email is pretty standard on the top of the resume. Usually for people that are current students, having your education next would make the most sense to make it easier for the employer to find it. These are the things you would include: the name of the school, the city, state, the degree you're receiving, month and year of graduation, your major, minor, and you can include your GPA, Dean's List, things like that. So here's our example. University of North Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Bachelor of Arts degree, major in sociology, graduation date is May 2013. They minored in psychology. They list their GPA. You only want to put GPA if it's 3.0 or higher. Then you can put things like Dean's List, Honor Society, cum laude, things like that. Experience would go next, hopefully related experience or relevant experience. This is what you would include: the name of the employer or the organization, the city, state, title, month and year to month and year, and action verbs. Here's our example: Duval County Family Resource Center, Jacksonville, Florida. They were an intern, spring 2013. In this case, this was present tense at the time, so they used present tense verbs: compile information, provide childcare, research and translate, obtain medical supplies, provide counseling. The use of effective resume language is critical to the resume because it highlights your skills and accomplishments. Take a look at some of these examples. You leave off the I, the me, my, personal pronouns, and so on, But the I is understood. I is the subject of each of these sentences. Understood. I redesign promotional materials, coordinated international networking events, hired, trained, and supervised employees, developed and implemented, conducted. So your choice of action verbs is very important. Take a look at these examples. Too brief. I created a database. Or created a sales database using Access to keep track of inventory. So see, just by adding that kind of detail, it really helps highlight your skills. Supervise staff. Supervise 5 sales staff members while monitoring their efficiency. So you can see the added description helps to define the skill a lot better. All right, let's take a look at highlighting. So here's a resume start. They've just kind of listed everything they've done, no action verbs, no highlighting of any kind. You can see it's not very easy to read. There's not a whole lot going on here. All right, so now we've gone in and added coursework, and we've added all the action verbs, but still the only highlighting you see now are these main headings because they're capped in bold. All right, now we created an indent here, so you can see just by creating an indent like that, it makes the main headings stand out, and that's what you want to accomplish, make it easy for somebody to read. Keep in mind, people read from top to bottom, left to right, and they gravitate to this margin over here. That's why all the key highlights tend to be over here. Next, we've added some bold on the names of the schools and employers, so you can see University of North Florida is now highlighted. We added underlining to the main headings to make them even stronger. We're still in kind of paragraph style. We still have everything on here. But now it's starting to shape up. You can see using this bold just makes it easier to see some of these key items. We added a secondary highlight of underlining on the degree and on the titles. So you can see now we're able to see 2 important things. Again, probably too much information in here, just a little bit busy. All right, we decided that since we don't have a lot of experience, we decided to add some coursework. 4 to 6 relevant coursework a lot of times are good. You're already telling them you're a psych major, but by doing this we can highlight specific courses that relate to our goal. So now we've used a tab over here. We put the city and state and dates over here to kind of create some white space in the middle. So you can see now it's starting to center the resume a little bit more. We still have this left margin orientation. We've got employers in bold, and we have underlining. Now what we've done is we've broken it up into related and other experience. So we move the not relevant experience down below, and we've got our important experience here. All right, next one, we switched to bullet style. In order to accomplish that, we put the other experience just in a summary down below where we just list the employer, title, city, state, and date and no descriptions. That has enabled us to highlight using bullets on the relevant experience. Usually to fit it on one page, you have to go with 1/2-inch margins all the way around, top, bottom, left, and right, and 11 point on the font size. All right, here we just switched to a second highlighting of italics. So you can see italics and underline are good secondary highlights. Bold and caps are good primary highlights. So you can see when we went to caps, so now University of North Florida is in caps, the employers are in caps. You can see how much stronger it is with lower bold as the secondary highlighting. You can see it draws a lot more attention to it. And then finally, just changing the format. Before we were underneath the headings, now we're next to the headings, and now our indent is here still, with you still using caps and lower bold. Avoid using the resume wizards. You can see they do weird things. They put the school in the middle here. They put it in small type. They add extra line spacing. So you can see on this resume, because of the extra spacing, it went on to two pages. Here's the exact same resume, just word processed, and it fits on one page very easily. So I always recommend that you don't use the wizard or templates and just type it yourself. You should always have your resume critiqued by someone else. You'll never see the typo or mistake that you've created. Always have somebody take a look. Career services, we do resume critiques all the time. You'll have your resume critiqued for this course, but anytime you're updating your resume, have career services take a look at it. Take a look at some of these resumes. So here's Sarah Sunshine's resume. You can see decided all of this experience was relevant. We would have ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 experiences all in one category. So by creating these different categories, it highlights different kinds of experience. So this can be a nice way to visually break up the resume and draw attention to specific things, like in this case, research, volunteer experience. Here they have memberships listed. Skills section is always good to have on a resume. All right, here's another one. This one's targeted to youth services. Here's the advantage of putting coursework on. They have a course, Mentoring in Urban Youth, Advanced Adolescent Psychology. So these courses kind of lend themselves or in support of that objective. So always a good idea to include some coursework when you don't have a lot of experience. Notice here, 2 of these experiences are actually class projects. So sometimes you can put a class project on. Same format. So instead of the employer, you put University of North Florida. Same thing, Jacksonville, Florida. Instead of a job title, we put the name of the project. And then you have action verbs describing the project. Very effective. All right, here's another example of the same idea. This is a mechanical engineer. They listed a lot of their mechanical engineering classes. But notice here, they highlighted 3 projects. So at the University of North Florida, they have a senior design project with a date, this project, and this project. So they list 3 projects with action verbs. And then down below, to save room, they put the other experience, the ones not related to engineering in this case, in a summary, employer, title, city, state, and dates, and that's it. Skills section listed here. Memberships, very effective targeted resume for engineering. Here's another example. This is for business administration. Again, they break it up into related experience, their internship, working as a business analyst, doing a project for class, and then they have their other experience down below, other activities and so on. Very targeted towards their objective. And then finally, this is for computer programming. So you can see we're next to the headings in this case. The headings are very strong over here, very easy to see. We use caps and italics as our highlighting combination with bullets. In this case, we move the computer skills up because if you're working with computers, having computer skills is very important. So again, you have to prioritize your resume in terms of what's important and what's not. In this case, these other jobs are just listed down below as other experience. Great way to put that kind of experience on. It shows you have a work history, worked your way through school, you take initiative, you're motivated, you work with other people, with supervisors, with customers. Always good to put experience on, but you can see it's not taking up very much room on the resume. Here's another one. An internship in lab research, not a lot of experience here, so they highlighted they're a research assistant, pharmacy tech. They list their memberships, they put their other experience down below in a summary. So this internship is very focused on the goal of an internship in doing lab research. All right, just a few words about job applications. Remember that a lot of times when you go for interviews, they'll ask you to fill out an application. And the tendency for people is to put a line through, say, see resume. Not a good idea. A lot of times employers use this as a screening device. So you want to make sure you fill out the application neatly and completely. To do that, you want to get a sample application like the one we're using in this class and fill out all the information you need. And then you take that with you on interviews, and it helps you fill out other applications, because you cannot fill out applications using your resume because a lot of times they ask for different information. So do your homework ahead of time, fill out the application, get all the information you need, and be prepared for anything. You might have to do a background check, they might do a drug test, credit check, they might even give you personality or aptitude tests. So